welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylina and I am the Hex Witch, and today we are doing March wrap-ups. So I figured since it was so beautiful outside, I could sit outside and do the video instead, especially since we don't have a super large amount of wind today. So we will see how it goes, although I do think it's going to be pretty sunny, especially since I've got sun on this side of me. But we're going to make do, and it's just a good excuse to sit outside. So we've got 7 books to kind of go over. A couple of them I've already kind of gone over in either another video, so we won't hone in on those for too long. But the first one I have is Austera by Luen. The Sabbath Essentials, that's what this one looks like. I already kind of did a review on this one before in my Austera video, so like I said, I'm not going to go into too many details. This one, I like Marie Silva's version better. I will just go ahead and say that because it's true. This one is a little bit more heavy on like spells and rituals, and doesn't cover quite as much of other stuff, you know, just about the Sabbath in general, or about different things that you can do. So I do feel like this one is not quite as well done as Marie Silva, but she can write about probably anything, I think. So I lean towards her books better. These are aesthetically slightly a little bit more pleasing to the eye, I feel like, but that's a matter of opinion. So yeah, that's one of the books I read. The next one that I read was Mistress of Evil by Serena Valentino. That's what this one looks like. This is a series of villain books that she has written, and this book is really cool because it's also got a really pretty artwork on the front cover as well. So I do like how these books are designed. They're very simple, but yet they just look really cool. This is probably one of my favorite ones of this series, The Mistress of All Evil, and this follows, as you could probably guess by the cover, Maleficent. So I really like how they did this book. Like, between Gaston and this one, these two have been my favorite ones so far, and you really get a good look of why she became who she was. You know, you really get a good explanation of, I mean, ever since she was born, she was just kind of given the short end of the straw, and you kind of realize, because a lot of it takes place in like the fairy realms with, you know, the fairy godmother and the other fairies, and of course Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather are in this book as well, and you just get to see kind of how crappy they are, and they're obviously not as perfect as, you know, the Cinderellas and the Sleeping Beauties show them to be, and they were actually quite awful to Maleficent, and ever since she was a little girl, and you wonder why she kind of has trust issues and why she doesn't really feel love for people, because she did end up having kind of a role model in her life, but that also kind of went south. So it makes a lot of sense, and you realize that the reason why she's doing the stuff to Aurora is because she's trying to protect her from you know, potentially having the same dark powers. And so it's very interesting. I liked it. This one was for sure probably up there with Beast, or I guess the Gaston book. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed this one a lot. The next one is in the same kind of realm. It's Go the Distance by Jen Kalanita, and I enjoyed this one out of all of this series. This is probably one of my favorite ones that I've read. I've only read like 2 other ones, but I did really like this one because this one follows Megara, and of course I love Meg. I think she's great. I feel like the tones of the voices of the characters were done really, really well in this one. Like, you could just, the way the writing was done, you could tell that it was these certain characters speaking, especially like Phil, the goat, you know, the satyr. His voice was pretty spot on. And like Hercules was in it a little bit, and Hades, of course, definitely sounded like Hades. And Meg, she was good. I feel like we could have used just a dash more of that Meg sarcasm that we love, because she's very dry humored. She's and you do get that. You do get that, but maybe just a smidge more. Just a little bit more, because it's Meg. Come on. She's dry sense of humor, and she's sarcasm to the max. And so it would have been nice to get just a little bit more of that. But overall, I really did like this story. It kind of follows Meg as she tries to become a goddess herself, so that she can live with Hercules. And you see kind of the story of her, and of course, speaking of trust issues, Meg definitely has those. You realize that her backstory was not all that she thought it was either, that there was actually more deception going on. And so the hardness in her life that she had in regards to the guy before she met Hercules, it's not everything that she thought it was. So she kind of goes on this journey to find herself, but also to kind of believe in love again, because she obviously for the longest time really had issues with trusting people, especially guys. So yeah, I liked this one. This one was good, and it really did, you definitely did get the character feel, like, out of this one even more so than the other two that I read. I really got the character feel. Next one is The Great Witch of Brittany, and this is by Louisa Morgan, and that's what this one looks like. And this one, I really liked this one. This one has a very real taste of what witchcraft I feel like is like. It's definitely more realistic. It's not, people aren't levitating, people aren't, casting spells in the way that TV shows or movies portray them. And so this was a very kind of more real dose of, to me, what magic really is. And it follows this girl throughout her entire life. So really it's kind of about Ursula as our main character that we follow, and then her mom Agnes, and their whole life journey. So there's it actually splits it up in sections, as far as when Ursula was young, when she's middle-aged, when she is even older than that, and then of course when she's reaching her time of death. And she actually does, spoiler alert, pass away at the end, because it literally follows her all the way through life. And this book, I liked it a lot, but it does kind of have this sad undertone. You kind of watch her go through her life, and it's you want more for her. You want more than what she kind of ends up getting, and in a way it's kind of sad, because she you can tell that she wants to fall in love. She wanted more out of the magic that she was gifted, and she doesn't totally get that. And she spends a lot of her life kind of in hiding from these witch hunters, which they show up here and there, but this book is not it's not like an action-packed witch book. So if you're looking for something action-packed, this is not going to be it. This is definitely a little bit more slow-moving. It's definitely more of just sharing Ursula's life, and almost kind of like a memoir in a way, where you get to follow her throughout her journey and the struggles she faces. And the struggles are very real life. They're very much real life, and disease, sickness, dealing with family members, protecting her mom. She's a hard working woman. Like, she does not get this frivolous life. Like, she has to work every minute of every day, and you definitely see that. So to me, it feels very, very real of what life back then probably would have been like. And it wasn't an easy life for anybody, but especially not an easy life for a more plain looking woman. And so it definitely talks about that, and you get to see the generations of her, and then her kid, and then her grandchildren, and you get to see all of that. And so it's really well done. It really is. And I have The Witch's Kind, which I believe is the third. I don't know if you have to read them in a certain order, because I think they each follow different people. But I need to get A Secret History of Witches. That's technically the second one, I believe. So I need to probably get that one first. But I do plan on reading the rest of them, because it's just a good book just to sit down and read with. If you're not wanting anything too out there and crazy, and if you want definitely a more realistic witchcraft approach, this one is, I definitely recommend. The next one I have is The Nightmare Man. This is by J.H. Markert, and this is what the cover of this one looks like. And this one really surprised me, actually, because it is a, horror book. It's, your typical killers are on the loose kind of thing. But when I first started reading this one, I wasn't sure about the writing style. I wasn't sure I was going to like it, because it reads, I don't know how to explain it. It reads like a kind of like an older time mystery, if that makes sense. And it's set in this kind of ho-dunky town, and our characters, they like to drink, they like to do drugs on occasion, that kind of stuff. It follows Ben, who is a writer, and his family history is a little bit shady, and you realize that even more throughout the book, which I'm not going to give too much away, but this is like a slow unraveling mystery. So it's not even just like the slasher stuff, which you're obviously trying to figure out who is killing people, but there's even more to it than that. There's this whole history and background of this family, and how they're just kind of morally gray. And so I actually really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. And so I actually would say I would recommend reading this book. Just know that which I guess is a testament to the author, that he does a really good job with this description, and just kind of making you feel like, yeah, I really am in this little dinky town with these, not redneck people, but kind of, like, a little bit. Like, you definitely get the small town, country vibes out of this book. And so, but it also follows a daughter and a police chief, and of course the daughter is a police officer as well, so you kind of get their side of the story as well, because they do kind of play a part into it, and they definitely kind of cliffhanger it at the end, that there is definitely room for a sequel, so, which I would read if it ever gets made. So I would recommend this if you like kind of horror. The only thing I would say is I would have liked a little bit more in the moment with our, monsters, so to speak. because you see a lot of the aftermath, or you get like little descriptions here and there about what has happened, which, yeah, it's, you know, he does a good job with the descriptions, but I would have liked a little bit more in the moment, like having scenes where you actually get to see them doing what they're doing, versus just kind of hearing about it after the fact, because obviously, yes, after the fact is gross, and you get kind of that, ew, gross kind of feel, but it's not like that in the moment action where it really just gives you the heebie-jeebies. So that's the only thing I would say about that, is that I would have liked a little bit more in the moment action with our monsters. So, but I was pleasantly surprised, because when I first started reading, I was like, this is not going to be for me. I do not like this writing style, but I actually kind of enjoyed it a lot more as I continued to read. So, yeah, if you're looking for something kind of creepy, kind of spooky, give that one a go. And then I have my two nonfiction ones that I read. The one is The Book of Candle Magic by Madame Pamita. That's what this book looks like. It is very pretty. It's got the gold, it's got the foiling in it. And I really like her books. Really like her books. They are just very comprehensive. They've got just tons of great information. As you can see, I've got lots of little tabbies. Just because this book literally lays it all out for you. I mean, if you're wanting to get into candle magic and you haven't really dived into it yet, read this book. This book is going to help you so much. It gives you types of candles. It gives you different designs you can do for your candle magic spells. It gives you just a whole list of herbs, crystals, different things that you can add to your candle spells. It really is a very comprehensive guide of all the different things that you can do to kind of boost your candle magic up. And so, highly recommend, especially since it's just a great book that you will just go back to. You will go back to because it's got so much detail in it that if you forget something or you want a new idea, odds are you will be able to find it in this book. So I love her. I love her writing style. It's easy to understand. I mean, she does a really good job. She does a really good job. And so even if you're, you know, you can probably hear the crows in the background there making themselves known. But yeah, if you're just wanting a book that you will probably go back to over and over and be able to reference, this is the book. This is a great book on candle magic. I've already used it a lot just because candle magic is kind of my main magic that I like to do. It feels like you can pack a big punch in a small amount of time, and you can use herbs and crystals and, you know, oils or whatever you want to use to heighten that spell. And so it's my go-to. It's my go-to form of magic. It just is. And so I use this book a lot just to maybe get new ideas. I mean, it also gives you just a huge list of different symbols and what they mean, so that you can just really take your candle spelling to the next level. So I definitely recommend this book if you are wanting to get deep into candle magic, or just have a reference or a guide on hand that you can easily turn to and be like, oh, what herbs are for attraction, you know, or what herbs are good for banishing. It's very easy, and it's right here. And yeah, I've said that like 5 times now, but I mean it. So, and I recommend Madame Pamita for probably any of the books that she writes, just because she just makes it so easy to understand. So the next one I read is The Complete Language of Flowers by S. Teresa Diaz. And this book is very pretty on the outside. this is one I got at Barnes & Noble. Once again, probably on the sale rack, because she actually has like a bunch of these, like they're volumes. Like, so she's got an herb one, she's got a tree one that's coming out, I believe. So she's got, I think she's got like just a vegetable one, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, this is her flower version, and I was actually surprised because I thought this book was more about just the flowers in general, but it's actually about the magic of flowers, which is really cool because I wasn't expecting that. So it's literally an A through Z book, and so I honestly I read it, but I went through the ones that I would personally use, or plants that I would be able to find around here or easily be able to access at a store, because I mean it's literally A through Z, so you get any flowering plant imaginable in this book, and obviously a lot of them have similar meanings throughout, or you know, I live in Kansas, guys, like, so I'm not going to be able to access these super tropical flowers, or you know, like there's going to be certain ones that I just am not going to have access to, and so, and honestly I'm not going to have as much of a connection to, because it doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel right to use those when I don't actually have a connection to them. So A through Z, each page has a little picture of the flower, and then it has, so it has like its scientific name, and then it has all the other names underneath it that it could go by, and then it has symbolic meanings, possible powers, and then if there's any folklore or facts about the particular plant or flower, it has that as well. So it is a all-encompassing book for flowers. So if you're looking, if you like to work with a lot of flowers and you just want to have a full-on magical guide for what they do, this book is great, and it's just, it looks pretty on your shelf too, because it's got this very pretty flower design on the front. So I would like to get her herb book of this, just because then I would have a comprehensive book of herbs. I mean, I have my go-to herbs that I like to use and that I've kind of connected with over time. So, you know, and I'm one of those people that doesn't believe you need this giant apothecary to get the job done. I feel like you can have your go-to herbs that you kind of connect with, and they're gonna be, you know, foolproof, so to speak, and they're gonna get the job done. So I don't feel like you need this ginormous apothecary. Great if you want it and you use those herbs, but if they're just sitting in there, you know, you don't need something so big. But yeah, this book is great. It's got some like food stuff in it as well, because it's got some herbs like garlic and peppers, and you know, it's just, it's a giant book full of magical flower information. So give that one a go if you're just looking for a nice guidebook for flowers. So yeah, those are the books that I read in March. Hopefully some of those sound good to you and you can add them to your list. Otherwise, I think that is all I've got for you today. Hopefully it is beautiful and nice wherever you are at today. Next week I'm so excited. So we get to go to the haunted McIntyre Villa, which is in Atchison, Kansas, and we get to spend a whole night there. So we're celebrating one of my friend's birthdays, and he is totally into ghost stuff. I'm totally into ghost stuff. We are going to have a fun time and hopefully catch some spirits. Hopefully they'll be active and want to talk to us. So I'm very excited about that, and so you will get a video on that. Well, hopefully, as long as they're active and want to share, because otherwise it would be rather boring to have a video of nothing going on. So I'm hoping, I'm fingers crossed, I've heard lots of reviews from other people who have gone and checked this place out that they've actually seen full apparitions of spirits. So we will see. We'll see if I can tune in and talk to some spirits. So I'm very excited about that. I will hopefully be able to upload that video on Sunday, but of course we're going Saturday, and then of course Sunday's Easter, so we may have to save that video for the week after, but we will see kind of how I'm feeling, because obviously an overnight thing, I'm not going to be doing much sleeping because I don't sleep in haunted places. So yeah, but other than that, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and I will see you next time for another video. Bye!